Like at some point, you shouldn't be making decisions for people who are going to actually have to live with it. Like have a cap. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost like women being able to vote, but not being in selective service. What a travesty.
What a travesty. I remember, when you turn 18, you get that letter right away.
Yeah, you do.
You're
Head
about
on to the
anymore.
post office and sign up.
They
You don't get
automated
anymore?
it. Yeah, now you're automatically enrolled. You don't have to like do the letter that.
Are
probably
the
we
women
all do.
automatically enrolled?
Of course
Nope.
not.
Nope.
Weird. You mentioned
Do you
Breaking
want
Bad.
that?
Yes. If they get to vote, they get selected, and they don't have to go to the front lines, but they're going over there. They're going over there. We need cooks and
you're
and
kinda-
fucking
I mean, in a world where it is like it is, I don't want taxation without representation either, right? They should be able to vote if they pay taxes.
not if they're not subject to all of the same.
That's its own
They're a
thing.
different class of citizen if they're not subject to a mandatory selective service sign up. They're literally a different class. I'm not saying it's a lower class or a higher class, but I tell you what, if I had my druthers, if I could just flip a switch and be part of any class, it would be the class that doesn't have to go be signed up for selective service. So
And
that feels
also,
like a higher class than me.
Lots of people can vote who don't pay taxes.
Yeah, it's rich people's kids, senators' kids, and women. Those are the people who are not subject to this. The rest of us,
I don't want women in selective service until they figure out the physical requirements for the job. They don't do it the way that King Woody would do it. For me, like a cook needs to be like this fit, needs to do this many pull-ups, etc. An infantryman, much higher requirements. A fighter pilot, some other set of requirements. I don't know what they are exactly. Navy SEAL, even higher still. But and then once we have that, we can get women and they can fill the job roles that they'd be good at. They wouldn't be most of them wouldn't be particularly good as an infantryman, right? Just carrying heavy shit across the desert. That's guy stuff.
Yeah.
We should have push-up requirements to vote. Now we're cooking.
Yeah. That's a silly idea.
Yeah, but what if they make it 150, Taylor?
All at once?
Without stop, without pause. No, like letting the last gas drain holding
without pause.
Oh no. 150
I thought I saw you
Louise. No, I was nodding, saying like, yeah, we would have like a retardedly qualified, jacked electorate. Pretty cool.
I can do if I trained for it beforehand. If I knew that test was coming up and there was nothing else going on that day, like if it wasn't.
There's nothing else going on.
I'm serious. Like as long as in the military, I don't think they're like, all right, today's push-up day. You'll have a week to recover before sit-up day. I think we're knocking all this out the same day. So as long as the day is just push-up day, so we can vote, I could train up to 150 in a couple months. I feel like.
Oh, you think my number's way lower?
With testosterone, you'd get there too. Like if you go on testosterone and you train, if the three of us all went on the same dose and we trained side by side for 6 weeks. 2 months, we'd get to 150, like no sweat.
That sounds high to me because my experience with push-ups is this. I know it's not the teeth, but like I can get to 25, kind of good. Like I'm still fresh, but somehow 30 is twice as much. And then like 35 becomes a whole nother thing where I'm starting to cheat and shake and stuff like that. So 150 feels impossibly far away. Like
that's.
I remember like I was looking for something to do between sets because I wanted something. And if it was leg day, there was a time when instead of walking around because I was doing push-ups and I was like, they're so easy. I feel like I need to pull on the negatives. I'm telling you, whenever you start your testosterone dose, Woody, I'm psyched for it. You are going to be an ape of a man. You're going to look like a shaved fucking gorilla. All right, your calves are going to explode off the bone.
Is that what he wants to look like?
You're going to be doing 600-pound heel raises.
You're going to look like that
600-pound heel raises.
Shaved chimp, like squatting with the big nuts.
Be like,
yeah, Jackie's going to be in a neck brace. Unrelated.
Unrelated.
I lost my train of thought. But yeah, somehow push-ups just get like exponentially harder in my experience.
Yeah. I think with drugs though, like we could absolutely all get to 150 if that was our focus in life. Every day is a part. We're doing training. We're doing strength. We're doing this. you're training for what you're doing. So you're just doing push-ups all day and big sets and stuff. Yeah.
News story here. I guess a judge ruled it unconstitutional to have a male-only draft.
Excellent.
So now it was
we're gonna
kind
start
of
losing more wars.
like I laugh, but do we want women drafted in the army or military?
They're not gonna do a draft if this shit doesn't matter.
Well, okay, they're not going to do a draft. I'm with you there. I'm in the hypothetical. Though.
Over a long enough period of time, the odds of there being a draft go to 100%. You realize that, right?
Well, not if our entire country dissolves in the boiling oceans first.
Wouldn't they draft before they did
They're
that?
going to draft people to make fucking sandbags or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they wouldn't put them into combat positions that they weren't either qualified for or allowed into.
Well, that's not very PC of you.
Well, I think it's more about what the military decides to do, not really my decision. But I think it's a good thing. I think that everybody should have equal rights, equal responsibilities.
I don't feel like the judge. I feel like they should all be internal with the military. Let them make the decision they think is fit. Like, don't let a judge overrule it. Like, they have their own courts there.
What if they decide we need segregated units? That if they decide that
they're not going to do that.
Do you mean by race or by sex?
They used to do that before we made them stop.
Yeah, but I think it's a little different. Those are all males.
You said the military should be on their own, autonomous and everything. I'm just playing devil's advocate, saying, what if they decide?
I don't know. We won World War II, didn't we?
Was Port Tuskegee Airmen?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying there about back in the segregation days. But yeah, I think this should be internal with the military. They know what they're doing more. If they think it's fine, then go for it.
Yeah, I suppose I'm always for the people who are literally on the ground and do that as a profession, making those decisions. It seems whenever you've got politicians making those, it seems weird to me that the president is the commander in chief.
I like it. I disagree. But carry on. Let me listen.
He's a politician,
right?
His and it used to be that so many of our presidents had military experience, and so it made sense for so long. George Washington was literally the general who was most influential in winning the Revolutionary War, and that tradition continued more or less for a long period of time. We had a lot of military background presidents, and some of the better ones actually. From Eisenhower to Teddy Roosevelt, they all had extensive military experience. Donald Trump went to military school. That's like the punchline of a bad joke. That's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if he should be the guy. On the other hand, if he's going to be the guy out there, negotiating a lot of deals with other countries, it's good if he's got the stick to go with the carrot.
I like a civilian commander in chief, because I feel like he brings less inclination to go to war and a certain further back a holistic perspective to the decisions that have to be made. If he viewed it through the lens of a warrior, then I think he might find war to be a viable option more often.
I think it would be the opposite. I think that they were talking about some of the soldiers who were mobilizing just the other day. For this 3,500 that they called up to go to the Middle East or whatever it was, and how the older soldiers, the ones who were veterans, were pretty somber. But then they quoted some of the young guys, and they're literally like, "Going to war, dude!" And it's I don't want a going to war, dude president. I want more of a if we must kind of president. I feel like if you've been to war. There was a good Eisenhower quote that was on the internet the other day about what he said about war, and I don't have it. And but I feel like a guy who's been to war, and especially a guy who's been in command or something like that,
might have
less apt,
a somber, experienced look at it. Yeah,
that's a terrible thing.
That it is, and I've never been to war. I don't pretend to have been, but
no.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's a good counterpoint. But I look at a Schwarzkopf, for example. He is very enthusiastic about it. I forget the guy's name. They did a Netflix special on him. He took over Afghanistan for a while. He was very enthusiastic about it. Like, there are definitely leaders who have been through war in the military who think war is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I get maybe it's just up to the man.
Yeah, I think it's individual. And look, so far Donald Trump hasn't done anything horrific that involves the military. Like people point to this I've been calling the guy Salami as a joke this whole time, and now it's actually stuck in my head. It's like when you make a silly face for too long.
It ends with Nami.
Solanami. And I don't like it when either side goes, oh, but what about this? Like whenever they posted the pictures of Clinton with Epstein's madam, and then they're quickly, everybody's quick to be like, oh, here's Trump with Epstein. It's like, two wrongs don't make a right. They're both with the pedophile guy, right?
Yeah, they're both hanging out on Rape Island over there.
Yeah, what's going on here? And so I don't like when people are like, oh, but Obama killed this many and did this much, unless you're trying to point out the bias of the media or how or the hypocrisy of the media. Then it's relevant. But if you're trying to compare the right and wrong of drone strikes or civilian collateral damage, then it's not applicable, because it's either wrong or it's right. It's you can't do that. What a downer.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just trying to get some pussy while serving overseas. We finally get to draft some girls.
College, man.
Yeah.